Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Gardener. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about two such succulents that will do well in indirect bright light, because I had a question, are there any succulents that can do well in indirect but bright light? They don't receive any direct sunlight. Now for that, you have two options. There are two succulents, both are from the genus of Echeveria. Which is our Echeveria albicans, and we have Echeveria elegans. Both of these will do well in indirect bright light. They don't prefer a lot of direct sunlight. Maybe up till 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. of direct sunlight is okay. Maybe 2 or 3 hours of morning direct sunlight, early morning direct sunlight is okay. But if you do not receive, they will still do quite well in indirect but bright light. Now the intensity of indirect bright light definitely has to be above 3000 lux. Only then they are going to stay compact. If you are going to give them less light, I do have an example over here. As I said, these do well in indirect bright light, but not in very less light. You can see these are two of the elegans that were not getting a lot of light. So as you can see, they are not very uniform. The leaves are going haywire. They are not very compact. Now the reason behind that is because they were getting a little bit less indirect bright light. The intensity was not a lot. So that was the example. But over here is another example of the same elegance. This one gets a good amount of indirect bright light with a good intensity. So you can see they are very compact. This one is not elegance, but I'm not very sure. This was some pup of another succulent, but this is Echeveria elegans. You can see it's very compact. Very uniform, because it receives a good amount of indirect bright light with a good amount of intensity. The same thing goes with our albicans. They prefer a good amount of indirect bright light. The intensity has to be above 3000 lux, then they will stay very compact. I have another one. Total I had 3 in the other pot, which is the rain gutter. All 3 have been sold out. I just have one left, which is also booked. So I will show you that in some time. So these are another 3 that I have. So you can see the structure is very beautiful, very compact, because they receive a good intensity of indirect bright light. I also have a pup over here of albicans, which also receives a good amount of indirect bright light. So you can see how compact and how beautifully it is shaped. There are few pups coming up in the sides. This was a pup that was separated, and it's doing quite well, because leaf propagation is possible, but it's going to take a very long time. So I prefer to separate the offsets once they reach a decent size. This was almost one size smaller, but it has grown over the period of time and looks absolutely beautiful. Here is another elegance. Now this has been taken out from the soil because I will be shipping it out very soon. But you can see how beautifully compact it is, because it receives a good amount of indirect bright light with a good intensity. It's also starting to put out a pup. The roots are all dry, which means it's ready to be shipped. I always ship succulents with dry roots, so they look amazing. It is a good size, probably almost size smaller than the mother plant, but it's in a very healthy condition, so this is going to be going ahead. They also have farina on them. You can see this. They also have farina, but a bit less. Unfortunately, they cannot handle a lot of direct sunlight. I have tried this earlier, giving them 5 to 6 hours of morning direct sunlight, and they don't perform really well. They either get burned or they start to shrivel up. This is something that I noticed, despite them having this slight farina. Probably the farina is not very strong on them, so they do quite well in indirect but bright light. If you have them, you can offer them probably 2 hours early morning direct sunlight, but I would say after 10 a.m. don't provide them with any direct sunlight. Just give them indirect bright light. They will do quite well. So this is the last specimen. So these were the two succulents, which is the elegans and the albicans. I will put up a small video clip of the last remaining albicine that I have, which is in a very good condition. It gets a good intensity of indirect bright light, as you can see on the screen. So there were 3 of them. 2 of them have sold out. This is the last one that is being booked, so it will also be shipped very soon. So you can see how compact and beautiful it looks. These will take a while for them to settle in. I have now put them in indirect bright light, because when you're putting them in indirect bright light, you do not need to acclimate it because there is no direct sunlight. So I think from yesterday I have moved them to indirect bright light. Probably it will take almost a month's time for them to completely retract and become a little bit more compact. So it's going to take a while. Now overall, if you tend to see, the color is very different from our regular succulents. They do not have any reds, they do not have any striking orange color in them. They are more on the green tone or on a very slight faint blue color, and that is probably one of the reason why they didn't do quite well in direct sunlight. As I've said this earlier as well, succulents that do not change the color from green to any other color, they are the ones that prefer indirect bright light. So most of these succulents will definitely not get any red color or any orange color or any color that is very strong or intense. They're going to stay more on this subtle green or very light blue in color. So they would prefer indirect but bright light. So guys, that's all about it. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep propagating.